That is our big male king cobra.
Mate, I can see his problem already too. Is that a retained spectacle there?
Yeah, very obvious, isn't it?
Nicknamed King of the Jungle, the 5-metre cobra is one of the world's most dangerous snakes.
Doesn't look too happy. The problem with the king of the jungle is the fact that when he shed his skin, he left a couple of scales over his eye. Because he can't see out of his right side, he freaks out and he's liable to strike, which makes him dangerous.
The scales have to be removed, and that
Because
means
he's a highly
trouble
strung
for
snake with that
head
on his
keeper
eye.
Tim Faulkner.
The amount of venom that gets pumped into you from a bite from that is so much that it outweighs toxicity in some cases, and you do not want to get bitten. You know, I'm not catching him. He is beyond me. He needs the master.
It's not me.
The master is the owner of the Australian reptile park, John Weigel.
He's crazy. I wouldn't say that he's mad. He certainly doesn't take risks. It's all calculated, and he knows what he's doing.
The biggest problem is that there's so much snake here to work with in such a small area.
You know the king's not mucking around when you see him actually have a little strike at John. Now, if that was me, I'd be backing off and just thinking this just isn't going to happen today.
The position you put the snake in by going in there, it's going to bite.
After several attempts, John finally pins down the formidable cobra.
So I'm going to need some help with this snake, guys.
Given how venomous these snakes are and how much venom they inject, we're also going to milk him, so if he was to bite someone, mainly us or other keepers, it's going to be a lot less dangerous.
Oh, look at that.
Holy moly.
You can see those fangs just injecting in. As far as procedures go, it's actually not that complicated. You're just getting some tweezers and lifting that scale off the eye, but you have all these conflicting emotions and energy inside you going, get out of there as soon as you can. So it's a matter of being gentle, precise, and quick. He's getting his first look at me and he doesn't like it. Oh, look at that.
That's got to be 4 layers.
Yeah, it's quite a few.
So now comes the fun part, getting rid of the snake. Okay, everybody hop out. Okay, we ready with the door, guys?
Yeah.
Okay, operation successful. What we wanted to do was to get the snake out without scaring it too much and without sustaining a world newsworthy bite. It worked out perfectly. I think we have a happier snake on our hands now.
There's a threshold that you have to decide to cross.
Yeah.
I don't think I could cross it. Would you cross it?
We decided that threshold was sanity.
Yeah.
And you'd gone actually beyond that. Tim said he's crazy, but he's not mad. No, he's crazy and he's mad.
Hence the, come on, away from there. Nicely. Good boy. He's a good boy. Yeah, the closest you've been to an adult?
This is when he looks at me and there's actually no wire between me and him.
Yeah, no, it's a different feeling.
And
Eh?
it's a big window.
And it's a big window, yeah.
His head's...
Yeah.
It just goes against everything your mind wants to believe it's seeing, because people shouldn't walk with lions, wild lions. It just doesn't really make any sense when you see it. So for me, it blows my mind.
Lick on my face. Nice lick. Not bite.
While Kevin dreams of no lion living in captivity, the reality is the wild population is rapidly diminishing.
My goodness, it's 40 degrees. You have to lie on top of me.
These definitely haven't lived the lives of a captive, normal zoo kind of lion. They've gotten to be in the bigger areas, live in prides, fight for females, roar at other lions over territories. So they live as natural life as I could give them in captivity.
So I'm in Australia, people go to zoos and look at the animals in cages. Here, it's sort of the other way around, isn't it? People are in cages here.
Not bite, Debbie. Debbie. You are a terror. You are a terror. No.
I've always thought, if you gain the trust of an animal and get to know it on an individual basis, then the sky's the limit.
Once you've formed a really good relationship, there's no reason why
When that line gets to 2, 3, 4, 5, there's no reason why he should actually change his attitude towards you.
What do you think when they see you in there? What do you reckon's going through their mind?
These lions, they definitely know that I'm not a lion. So I'm always like this honorary member of this pride.
What I find even more amazing than the fact they don't tear him apart is the fact they actually go so far the other way. They love him. They're all over him. They just want to be near him and be scratched by him and roll around with him. It's a real affection.
What can I do? Thank you. Is that what you call a lion hug?
Feels I'm interrupting.
You interrupting the love affair.
Chris is about to become a lot more than an observer. There's been an outbreak of facial tumours in the pride, and Kevin has asked the Aussie vet to help out.
We've had a recent spate of what's referred to as a sarcoid papilloma. They develop quite rapidly, and they also seem to be quite contagious.
Chris will be operating on 2 lines, Kevin's favourite Napoleon and the aggressive Maisha.
It's got to be awkward for her, eating and
Yeah.
you know, socialising with that.
Yeah. The only trick is she's not a hand-reared lion. She's more of a wildish lioness that's grown up in this pride.
Yeah.
So yeah, she'll take our hands off with you, even if I try and probe around on her lap. Look at Napoleon on his nose there. You see his nose?
Yeah. Oh, okay.
That's the one I'm worried about as well. If there's any concern that he's not going to get his nose back together properly or it's going to be tricky, he is my baby, so Daddy's got to intervene here and make sure what's best for baby.
If there wasn't enough pressure about working on a line, he's not just a lion. He's the very reason Kevin does what he does, so it's a lot of expectation.
As many times as I hear it, I never ever get sick of it. You cannot get sick of a lion roaring. It's absolutely incredible.
For me, the sightseeing part of this journey out to see Kevin is all of a sudden gone. Now it comes down to work. Kevin really should be very well aware of the fact I've never operated on lions before. Now it's my time to impress. I hope I can.
Maisha and Napoleon need to be isolated in the shed so Chris can sedate them.
Winner takes all.
When they walk past, I've got to hide behind a brick wall so they don't see me and jab her. When I jab in there, the needle stays where it is and this pushes in and injects her. Can I be honest with you? It's not a technique I've used before. Not a technique I've had to use before, but we're spirit of adventure, we're going to give it a go.
Open rod. Yeah, Maisha.
Kevin is well aware of the risks involved.
We've had a vet that was chomped because a lion tower wasn't sedated properly. That was a lesson learned. I should have mentioned that earlier on, hey, before you came all this way. Yeah.
The surgeries are tricky. They're in a delicate part of the body that bleeds a lot.
Close!
But what really freaks me out is the anaesthetic.
After several nervous attempts,
Yeah.
finally success.
First job, okay. Let's go out and lever.
Yeah. It's beating a bit quicker now, but I'm very happy to see an empty syringe there. Roller into this?
Yeah.
Can you just tap her eye for me? The big test of whether Maisha was actually asleep was tapping her eyes. You normally just need one tap, but I think I was working on about 10 or 20 just to be sure.
But 10 minutes later, Maisha is still not completely under.
She's just a little bit light. She's actually blinking when we tap her eye, so it's not really the state you want when I'm about to actually cut into her.
What Chris doesn't know is that during the last operation here, a lion woke up and took a bite out of the attending vet's arm.
I've seen things go wrong there's a lot of adrenaline in the air and everyone's hyped up, and then, you get a little bit anxious always when a cat goes under the knife. But I'm sure she's in capable hands. I'm assured, at least.
There was a pause there. I heard a pause.
No, I've done my research. I Googled you.
Really?
Yeah.
We've got about 20 minutes or so, if that. It's conservative. Let's go. It's going to be a cut, like a wedge, almost like a triangle, to try to get in through this gum here. I'm doing Maisha first for a couple of reasons. First of all, her tumour is a bit more obvious. It should be a bit easier to get out. So, in a way, it's a bit of a warm-up to the main game, to Napoleon. I'm trying to get a good margin around the base of it and just avoid the fact that incise is about an inch away from my hand.
To Chris's relief, there are no complications during the surgery.
Okay, can we just get a check on this eye again?
Good.
The reason I asked you about that is
Your hands
very clear.
Your hands are very close to her jaws.
With the tumour removed, he just needs to stitch the wound.
What kind of knot do you call that?
That one is called a simple knot, named after the surgeon that's performing on it.
It devised it.
Kevin is keeping a close eye on Chris's handiwork.
It's going to make that lip look pretty, because she's got to find herself a guy one of these days, and no one wants to go out with a girl that looks like that.
I'm actually really happy that that's actually come out really nicely, and the lips actually come back together quite cleanly, and from here that swelling will actually subside, and the great thing about this area is it has such a great blood supply. It heals really quickly.
Ah, there we go.
Do that.
Wonderful.
All right, this wakes her up. Thank you, girl. Thank you. You're most obliging. Get the hell out of here. That was really frantic. Actually, a couple of times I had to try to distract the guys and just sit with my gear, fumbling for syringes, just so my hands would stop shaking. There's a huge difference between Maisha and Napoleon, not just their size, but most importantly for me, it's their age. Maisha's 3, Napoleon's 13. And with that comes a whole new range of risks with the anaesthetic. You just have to be so careful, because at that age, you could lose him.
Much easier, huh? Yeah, good. Difference between a tame cat and a wild cat.
You can tell me one more time if you like.
Well, I'm going to just tell you one more time that this isn't just a lion. This is like a brother. So you are aware of that too. So.
I know.
No, look, he's a special cat. Huh? Each one of those scars represents something.
I'm going to have one across here, am I, if things go badly?
Yeah.
Slowly, Napoleon is succumbing to the anaesthetic under Chris's watchful eye.
Not only does this line mean so much to Kevin, this surgery is going to be incredibly difficult. We're dealing with an area that's not only very sensitive, but there's no give. There's no spare skin to enable me to cut the tumour out and then bring the skin back together and stitch it in place. Here is a real challenge. And then there's a clock on me. Anyone that's had a punch in the nose or even a nosebleed nose at the nose has a lot of blood. One little cut to the nose and they'll bleed, and they'll continue to bleed. And this isn't just one little cut, this is a huge gash that we're having to make here and get quite deep in and around this mass.
The large amount of blood flowing into the wound is making the surgery difficult.
Okay, so there it is there. The real challenge here is actually closing this wound here, because you can see it's big. It's about 1.5 centimetres wide and about 2 centimetres long, and in an area like the nose, that doesn't come together easily or quickly.
I just can't understand how you're going to do it. Over to you, Chris.
Thanks, Kevin.
But even Kevin is happy with the final result.
Seriously impressive.
Not done yet.
No, it's looking really good. Don't be so modest.
When you sign that line and you commit to becoming a vet and going to vet school, you don't ever for a second think that you're going to be in a place like Africa operating on a big male lion like Napoleon. It's awesome. It's just not what you ever planned for, but you're so happy it happened.
So well done.
Good. that's my stress meter.
Yeah, I know, I can see that.
That's registering high.
So
right
this
now.
is like 9 out of 10 stress meter?
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Good job, good job.
That was intense. It's just full on. I mean, awkward position, and I'm on my knees, lying down, and all the while there's just that big head staring right at you, and he's anaesthetised, but those eyes look straight through you.
Sure, I know.
Now the surgeries have been successfully completed, Chris has told the story about what happened to the last vet who came to the kingdom.
You serious? A vet actually came here and got chomped on. Really? It's good, isn't it? That would have been in the column marked essential knowledge, but he didn't pass that on. Thank you.
After the anaesthetic wears off, Maisha is demanding to be let out.
There's a good boy.
But Napoleon needs a lot more TLC.
I'm sorry, but it's for your own good. Eh?
Yeah, it's actually looking very good. I mean, he's very sore. You can see he's feeling very sorry for himself. But he's a tough cat, eh? You've had worse than that in your life, my boy.
It's time for Chris to head back to Johannesburg. But before he says goodbye, Kevin introduces him to some miniature Napoleons.
Ooh, scary, aren't you?
Yeah, I bet it.
For you, is this where the relationship starts?
Yeah, absolutely. If you're going to form a relationship with a lion, it really should start at this age. Even at this age, it's about enrichment. In captivity, you've got to, tire or just keep them occupied all the time. Stimulate those little young minds. I am at my happiest when I'm with the lions because it is a way of me finding a sanctuary. I've often said, and I really truly believe this, I would give it up like that to see wild numbers increase exponentially. If somebody could say this is the magic, formula, you've got to stop going in with lions, and then overnight lion numbers will increase. I'd do it like that in a heartbeat.
Oh, yes.
As far as days as a vet go, I haven't ever had one where I've done surgeries on lions in Africa. So I reckon I remember this one.
This type is actually the hardest rescue. Caught by one leg, they can still kick with the other one. And they very frightened.
We arrive at the scene and we can see there's blood all over the fence hangers under some blankets. The little boy looks like he's in a lot of pain.
Okay, if I just give him a bit of sedation. Just going to give him a bit of sedation.
Yeah, so mum jumps the fence and the little one says, well, I want to try and jump the fence as well.
So what's probably happened is that the mother's jumped over the fence during the night and the little Joey has not been able to get that height and has actually got trapped. And it's probably the worst case scenario because it's springtime, there's a lot of Joeys, there's a lot of Joeys on foot, and that generally is what happens because they can't see the fence at night.
If the wire has cut completely all the tissue right through to the bone, they have to be euthanized. And sometimes we get them and they've been hanging there for a day or two. And so the foot or the toe's completely dead. Yeah, so it's a shocking thing. I find fence hangers very upsetting because they suffer so much. Yeah.
Audrey and Alison must move quickly to get the badly injured Roo to the Possumwood Hospital for urgent treatment.
And you think about it in a human perspective. That's like a 2-year-old little boy that traps in the fence overnight in the cold. He's in a lot of pain, he's in shock.
Upside down.
Himself upside down, doing damage. It just should never happen. It's so traumatic.
The twins are desperately hoping they'll arrive in enough time to save the traumatised Roo.
So we have to get this Joey urgently to Possumwood Hospital.
Which way do you want? Out this way?
Yeah, just take him out that way.
So we stretch the Joey in straight into the surgery room, and we need to stabilise him. We've got to get him warm, we've got to give him fluids, we've got to take some x-rays. So the best thing is we put him under general anaesthetic. So we pop some isoflurane gas and then tube him so that it's nice and safe, and then we get started. And I'll get an IV access.
It's not known how long the young Roo was trapped in the fence, so Audrey and Alison need to urgently assess his vital signs.
Gosh, he's cold, his veins are so small. We get straight to it, we shave up the tail, look for the tail vein, we can't find one.
34.2, 34.3, cold.
Come on, get warm, get warm, get warm.
So this little guy is dangerously cold. He's been upside down, his blood is rushed to his head, he hasn't got much blood in his extremities. That's quite bad because we actually want to make sure that leg has a good blood supply we know is injured.
With the young Roo's life hanging in the balance, Rosemary pitches in to help, handing over heat packs.
Yep, small one there.
Eventually the little Roo's temperature begins to stabilise, and Audrey can finally locate a vein so they can start administering life-saving fluids.
Just going to keep this foot warm, and then we can start shaving up.
So we're examining the injured leg, and we can see that the injuries are quite severe.
So it's a pretty nasty injury. You can see that the wire's kind of gone all the way around the ankle, which is not a great spot.
We can see the exposed Achilles tendon, but luckily that Achilles tendon is intact. It hasn't been severed, which is absolutely amazing considered his ring bark a part of that area.
But seconds later,
Oh, I think I see bone.
Audrey discovers a new problem.
So it literally went all the way down to bone, sort of rubbed against the bone and stopped. It's just chipped away at it. It doesn't look like it's fractured. Can you see it's just chipped away at that corner?
We'll get an x-ray on that. The biggest fear for us is that he's fractured something. If he's fractured a bone in his foot, especially around his ankle, that's going to be really hard to treat. So it could mean drastic consequences for him.
So that really warrants at this point to do an x-ray, make sure that bone's intact.
X-rays. So looking at the side view, I can see the areas through the skin where the wires cut through, but the bone actually looks okay. We'll take another view there, and then I've just taken a view from top to bottom, and that is also looking good. So I looked at all the ankle bones, everything's intact. Joint looks fine, all the views look really good, so I'm pretty confident that it's down to the bone, but it hasn't fractured the bone.
So great news, that x-ray is all clear. Even though we can see the bone externally, it's actually intact. He hasn't broken any bones.
He's been so lucky, so lucky. So next step is examining the hip. We need to make sure that he hasn't dislocated it. He's been hanging by one leg and twisting around. It's a very, very real thing that could happen. So we do a couple of tests, couple of manipulation, and again, another tick, it's still intact. And so that means we can go to the next step, which is flushing, debriding, getting a bandage on and just putting him into recovery. We got a special sauce. We've been dealing with a lot of kangaroo wounds since the bushfires, and what we were finding once we got them through that initial period of treating the burns and getting it to heal, they get these nasty infections, and of course because they're out in the mud. So we cultured a lot of those wounds, and we managed to find there were certain bacteria that kept popping up, found the antibiotics to treat that bacteria, and then we invented this special gel sauce.
So they're going to be open wounds, which means that they have to heal over time by themselves. We're not suturing it closed because there's actually no skin left to suture close. Pop some bandages on, and he's actually going to heal really nicely with good nursing care.
After his horrific ordeal, the little Roo is still not out of danger and will be closely monitored over the next few hours.
There we go.
And straight away, Audrey and Alison have another urgent case.
So Rosemary asked us to look at another patient, and this is actually an old fence hanger, and we're really worried because there's these two big pockets of pus. She's actually seen pus coming from it, and we don't know where it's coming from. Is it a piece of wire that's been left in there and now it's starting to get infected, or is it a new injury?
Oh my God! Oh. Shall I slightly tilt it?
There's a possibility that this injury or this infection could have come from the fence hanging. Sometimes a little bit of barbed wire can track up the leg and form a seed of infection. Pus needs to come out. Pus is always better out than in. It's just full of infection and white blood cells. Oh. Heaps of pus keeps coming out. And I think it actually even surprised me how much pus came out.
And the smell.
And the smell.
That is not a good smell.
So smelly. Smells like egg.
It smells like poo.
You can't smell it? I have never smelled anything that bad. I don't even know how to describe that.
It's actually stinging my eyes because it's that pungent.
So for the full experience.
Poor bother bee. I mean, like,
oh my god! And that pressure that it was coming out was like a waterfall. It was just a waterfall of vile smelling pus.
How painful must that be to have that much pressure on the leg, let alone the infection that's going on? I'm surprised she's been hopping around at all.
I need a new dish, guys. There's some
And then we also really need to get a sample. So this sample is really important to send off to the lab because they're going to culture and we're going to see what sort of microorganisms are growing there and also what antibiotics or what treatment we can give Willa to make sure this clears up. Oh my god, that's the smaller one. The bigger one's up there.
Mm-hmm. You definitely know the medical people in the room because as soon as anyone sees or smells pus, the whole room fills up.
Yep. Yes, we've got an audience today.
We've got an audience. You know what's gross? When I press this one, stuff comes out of that one. As much of a sick fascination it is to watch all this pus coming through, it is at the back of my mind about how bad this has been for Willa. That pocket of pus has a tremendous pressure underneath it, so that's uncomfortable. Also on top of that, there's some severe infection going on. It might be bacterial, it might be viral, it might be fungal, but whatever it is, that is dangerous. It could go into her bloodstream, it could potentially infect her whole body, and she could die.
So we get 2 full kidney dishes of pus. That is a huge volume even for us as vets to see. We give that large capsule a good flush out with some saline.
As long as we identify what microorganism is causing this pus and infection and we give the right antibiotics for it, she should recover well. We've also given her some pain relief, so hopefully moving forward she can recover and be released into the wild. Hi buddy.
At Possumwood, Audrey and Alison are checking on the young Roo at the centre of a dramatic roadside rescue.
So we like to name all our patients in Possumwood, and because this little Joey has done so well, I think we need to find a fitting name for him. We'll call you Denley. I think that suits you.
I think Denley has a bright future. His injuries, although they are quite severe, they're going to heal really well.
Oh, you're such a good patient.
Okay, let's just be very delicate here because I don't know where that... I don't really know where that spear or skewer is, so I don't want to cause any more injuries.
Mari Claude from Rescue Group Wires has brought an injured currawong into the Bondi clinic.
Okay, so could you just hold his beak there just so he doesn't get any more...
It's a strong beak you have
Yeah,
there?
he's got my finger in it.
Ah, God, yes. And now he's got one.
We can see it goes through the top here, but is that body or is that wing? So let's just roll him gently.
Oh, baby.
Okay, so it's going through his wing.
Straight through.
So I don't really want to remove this skewer here with him conscious because the stress of doing that is going to be too much for him, but also if a blood vessel is actually attached to that and that ruptures, with him awake, he could bleed to death.
The only option we're left with really is to perform surgery with an anaesthetic. But it's an anaesthetic with risks, and those risks are only increased by the fact this currawong isn't well. He's looking lively enough that I think he'll be able to handle an anaesthetic.
Chris is starting the delicate surgery to remove a skewer from the wing of a wild currawong.
I just need to work out exactly what we're looking at here.
Looking at this now, it's pretty clear. I mean, you can see the skewer is at the heart of the problem, but in turn it's actually created a second issue, which is each time he moves, he actually spikes himself, and that's where this abscess here has come from as well. So today we'll have to take care of both problems. When you consider that Arrow has been pierced with a skewer, he's been barely able to fly and must have been in so much pain, it's really a miracle he's even got this far. You can see now, the problem we're facing is that this skewer's been in for so long, it's actually become essentially a part of Arrow. I mean, Arrow's attached tissue to it and tried to live with it when really it's doing him no good and he needs to let go of it, but now his body just isn't wanting to.
Very well attached.
It's not coming through. The fact this is an old injury makes it even more of a challenge because not only are you fighting against the body's best efforts to fix the problem itself, but you also could be looking at a long-standing infection. Both of those together make this quite a difficult procedure. So I'm having to be quite forceful and get in and around the base of it and take away all the attachments that the body just naturally forms to anything that's foreign. All right, should be enough. One final push. There we go. There it is. So you can just see how much there was hooked in there.
Arrow's ordeal isn't over yet. Chris now needs to remove the abscess that has formed around the skewer.
Just try to neatly cut around the base of it. That's actually not an abscess. I think you may actually have another bit of skewer.
Really?
You've got to feel for Arrow. I mean, not only has he had to deal with that piece of wood stuck into his body, but it turns out he's got another piece right next to it. He's had to be a fighter.
Hang in there, buddy.
Okay, I'm ready to close up. Get some stitches there. I'm pretty happy.
Looking good.
That's our last stitch there. All right, so I'm hoping after being incredibly unlucky, Arrow has just had his luck change.
Chris is making a house call with a special delivery.
Hello. So,
Hello.
what happened?
We have good news.
Good.
Everything's gone really well. When Marie Claude first brought Arrow into the clinic, she was convinced that I'd say that he had to be put down. So now to be able to bring him back to where it all began, minus the skewer, it's a good feeling. So, you need to see the new Arrow.
Hey, look at him.
All right, so
Hey, baby.
and he's looking lively.
Arrow will stay in Marie Claude's care for another 6 weeks. Chris will then assess if he's well enough to be set free.
Probably the best plan is to give him some food for a few days,
Yes?
get his strength back, and then once he's healed up a little bit more, then he can be released. Does that sound okay?
Yes, we're gonna take good care of him. Hello, my bird. This is food coming for you before you go away. Last meal.
6 weeks after delicate surgery to remove a skewer from its wing, Arrow the currawong is full of energy and ready to receive visitors.
Come through.
Okay. Looking forward to
I'm
seeing him.
so pleased to see you.
How's he been going?
He's been doing very well, I hope. He's been eating and he's very active. He wants to go.
Look at him. He's not still at all, is he?
No. He wants to go now.
And look, whatever you're doing, it's working because he is lively. Probably the most encouraging thing that I can see in Arrow right now is the fact that he's pacing the cage. You've got to remember he's a wild bird and he wants to be back in the wild, and that right now is the most important sign. And the great thing is that this wing looks like it can function without any problems, and that skewer has missed all the bones, all the blood vessels, luckily, and also the nerves, so there should be no problem flying. In fact, I'm pretty sure Arrow is actually telling us that he's ready.
Oh, you're such a lucky bird.
Looking at Arrow's wounds, they've healed up incredibly well. So there's no reason to hold this wild bird back. It's time to send Arrow in the right direction. It's you, it's all you, go.
Oh.
At the other side of the house.
Yes. No goodbyes, nothing. Just went straight through. I'm glad his ordeal is over. And for me, you know, watching an animal slowly die in front of you every day, it was really stressful.
Yeah.
So you did good for me too. Thank you, Doctor.
You're a beauty, Marie Claude. Well done to you, okay?